Tonight's species is often seen skipping behind your boat in your wake, and then many times it's mistaken for a baby permit. I like them because they eat artificial jigs and really test your drags when fishing light tackle. It's also a favorite on the menus in many restaurants. Tonight, it's all about the pompano here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, powered by Harbor Trucks and presented by Yamaha.
You're watching the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and not only do we have a great weekend of reports for you, but we have a live audience, and our friends from Maverick will be joining us today. But Rick, it is the end of September, which means we will be taking a season break until April 2020, and I can't believe how fast the time's gone by.
You're absolutely right, Brie. But it's time to do a little hunting, a little holidaying, and then college football. Who in the world could compete with that with airtime? So you know what? We're going to take a little hiatus.
We are, but we'll still be fishing and bringing you more adventures and fun behind the scenes on our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, so make sure you subscribe to that to stay in touch. But we also, really quick, want to say congratulations to our director, Erlin, and his wife, Myra, on the birth of their beautiful baby girl, Amelia Autumn, who was born this morning.
Yay!
Oh, look at that.
That's so beautiful.
Oh,
look
there
at
he
Erlin.
is. Well, Erlin's not here to direct us, but that's okay. He's spending time with his family. We'll
That's
get through
right.
it. We'll get through it.
Well, if he's not here, who's directing us?
I have no idea. We'll see how the show goes.
Well, maybe
Dave
Dave can do
Farrell, CCA Workbench. How you feeling about all this?
I'm doing good. That's, you know, I'm looking for a job now.
Oh,
I got
no.
6 months. Anybody who
If you guys know a job
come
for
and
Dave.
chop some wood or sweep a sidewalk. I'm good at all that stuff.
He is good, so if you know of a job for him, let him know.
Give me a call.
Give him a call. All right, well, let's get our season finale started in the Fish Bites East region, where the smaller early season pompano are flourishing, but there are some big uns mixed in, right, Captain Mike?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. You know, we got this little change in weather. The first of the pompano are showing up on the beaches. It'll pick up over the next couple of weeks. The majority of fish in October and November will be under that 12-inch minimum size limit. But, you know, early push will also have those 5 or 6 pounders in the mix, as well as quite a few permits. The key to pompano fishing in my region, and particularly on the beach, is to look for that green water where you can see 3 or 4 feet down into the water. The kingfish guys call it kingfish green. It's not milky, it's just kind of clear green. Look for the beaches that have that green water and a nice deep trough, like on Jupiter Island, Bob Graham Beach, Tiger Shores Beach, Normandy Beach, Blue Heron Beach. They all have that nice deep trough. Post up, fish, a 3-hook rig baited with a strip of shrimp or clam scented fish bites, and then put a sand flea on top of it. And as that weather gets cold, the sand fleas will disappear. You can just go to plain fish bite strips and do very well. And then as we get into November and even the winter months, the pompano will cruise into the intercoastal, feeding on shrimp and clams. You can target them with an R&R tackle, Upperman jig, or a pompano jigging spoon. Either one, put just a strip of fish bites on it. You can also just anchor up and fish a sand flea and fish bites combination on the bottom. The key here is pompano are sight feeders, but they also have a strong sense of smell. So adding that fish bite strip really increases the odds that a fish will swim up and get in the scent trail and then swim right up and eat the jig. Average pompano right now is going to be 1 to 2 pounds. I got a photo. That's your typical pompano, your typical fall pompano from the flats. That fish ate a white jig with a chartreuse head and a clam-scented fish bite strip. The other thing, the mullet run is going full bore right now. And the best snook fishing is taking place around the bridges after dark. So places like the Barber Bridge in Fort Pierce, North and South Bridges, and the Turning Basin in Fort Pierce, the 25 Cent and Roosevelt Bridges in Stewart, the A1A Bridge in Jupiter, and even that little Lake Worth Bridge. A lot of fish on those, all those bridges after dark. There's still some good snook on the seawalls of the Loxahatchee River and on the intercoastal waterway around Hope Sound and also around Juneau Beach. But that seawall bite's been kind of limited. Dawn and dusk, real active. Middle of the day's kind of slowed down. Live mullet or topwater plugs have been good there. We're also seeing a good concentration of those hybrid fat snook that you see in the fall, and even some tarpon snook around the bridge fenders in the St. Lucie and Loxahatchee rivers. On the bridges, At night you can fish a R&R tackle, flare hawk jig, or a swimming plug. That's what you fish on the windy nights. You can even slow troll a mullet down the shadow line. And then on the calm nights, topwater plugs, a chartreuse-colored saltwater assassin 5-inch shad, or a live finger mullet's pretty much the way to go. And the average snook right now is going to be 5 to 15 pounds, but fish up to 30 pounds.
All right, let's go offshore, Hollywood.
Well, there's really no rhyme or reason to the dolphin bite, but when it's good, it's really good. It seems like the best action is on the days when there's a northerly wind and the fish are kind of scattered along the color changes and around large floating objects, but not really on the weed line. This is a good time of year to watch for those shrimp boats that anchor up off St. Lucie County. You get out there first thing in the morning, they get a lot of dolphin on them. You also want to watch for diving frigate birds or flocks of those little ha-ha terns. Both will dog the dolphin, and both will be moving south this time of the year. You can also watch for flying fish that just get up for no reason. There's a lot of flying fish out there. If you see 100 yards away a flying fish get up, or you see any of those birds, run right to that spot, put out your bait. And with mullet so plentiful, you might as well take advantage of the easy bait that you can catch. Throw your cast net, load up your live wells with mullet. Best bait's going to be that 6 to 10 inch mullet because they just slow troll a lot better. If you're going to drift, you can probably put the finger mullet out. You want to drift or slow troll them or run and gun until you see something that looks good. Put out your bait. Average dolphin right now is going to be 8 to 20 pounds. The other thing we get, when we get these series of storms in September and October, it seems like the mangrove snapper pushing close to shore or closer to shore to feed on those hatching turtles and the finger mullet schools. So you'll find a lot of fish around the inlet, particularly in the deeper inlets like Jupiter and Lake Worth and even Fort Pierce Inlet, and also on those nearshore reefs in 20, 25 feet of water off Hope Sound and off the St. Lucie Power Plant. And then again, it's always going to be good this time of year on those 60 and 80 foot reefs off of St. Lucie County. There's plenty of finger mullet, there's plenty of juvenile pilchards and sardines around. Shouldn't have any problem catching baits. Cast net them, use them live or dead around the inlets, fish them tight to the rocks on the outgoing tides. Or if you find an area where the bait schools get bottled up, a lot of times right on the base of the inlet, that's a really good area to fish them on the bottom. Just get them underneath the school. So to do that, just add a little weight. You can even put a jig head on them. Average mangrove snapper right now around the inlets and those nearshore reefs is going to be like 2 to 5 pounds. And there's some really big fish in there. I got a photo of a giant one. R.J. Boyle caught that fish. That's a 10-pound mangrove. That was caught on the Floridian charter boat. And the guy on the right, Captain Glenn Cameron, led him to that fish.
Hey, tell me about the bass one more time this season, bub.
Moly.
Well, now that the winds have let up the east side of Lake Okeechobee between Taylor Creek and J&S Fish Camp, they've got a great dawn bite of schooling bass working the shad schools along the outside grass line. Key is to find clean water or that clear water. There's also some fish on Observation Shoal on the potholes in 2 to 3 feet of water. I was talking to Captain Mike Sean of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He said start your day throwing swim baits like Bass Assassin, Boss Shiner in the smoking shad or sungill colors, or a 7-inch Shad Assassin in that copper juice or black shad colors. Look for the scattered grass on the mouth of coves. When the school bite dies, move to the outside grass lines and either flip a June bug colored creature bait like a skunk ape or a 10-inch worm, or fish a live shiner in those same areas. Average mornings, 20 to 30 bass, 2-pound average, fish up to 6 pounds right now. So Okeechobee's pretty hot, man.
All right, thank you so much, Hollywood. Great job this season for Fish Bites East region. It's time to take a look at the TH Marine hotspots inshore. The snook on the seawalls of St. Lucie River, topwater plugs, dye dappers, and live mullet on the higher phases of the tide. And then offshore, blackfin tuna and skipjack tuna in 240 to 400 feet of water off of Sloan's Curve. Use live chummed with pilchards or finger mullet. Pull a small ballyhoo or maybe a small feather to catch those blackfins.
Fish Bites East region looking pretty good this weekend. All right, Captain Pat Deneen is up next in the Yeti Panhandle region, who's getting us pumped up on some pompano. Give us your best, Pat.
Hey, Brie, I tell you what, we do have some good pompano fishing in the Panhandle, and unlike a lot of Florida, we've got clear water, so it's a sight fishery to some extent. The pompano start showing up on our Gulf side beaches April and May as the water warms up. And then this time of the year, October, November, they start to disappear. The springtime pompano, they travel east to west as the water is warming, and then the fall pompano, they travel west to east as they're heading back towards warmer weather. Additionally, late summer and fall, quite a few pompano are caught inside the bays usually by fishermen targeting trout with live shrimp or topwater baits, and they're fishing over the grass flat. So it's not uncommon to find one, well up into the bay. Set fishermen along the beach, they're typically going to catch the most pompano. They're doing it by fishing multiple rods from sand spikes. They've got a 2 or 3 hook chicken rigs that's baited with live sand fleas or fresh shrimp. And just like Mike was mentioning, the smarter ones are tipping it with a strip of orange or pink fish bite to give it both color and scent. The set fishermen usually prefer spots with clean water. The section of the beach where that outer sandbar kind of creates a pinch point for those schools of pompano traveling down the beach. It kind of funnels them through close to the shore. I prefer to jig fish for them. I do it by slowly electric motoring down the first sandbar with the sun and wind to my back and then sight casting to them. The best jig colors are typically pink and white, orange and white, or chartreuse. And when you want to look for those fish cruising down that first bar, and then also look for just a big dinner plate size flashes as the pompano kind of roll or feed off the bottom. There's a photo of a really nice pompano caught with Captain Scott Whitehurst on the bite charters out of Destin, Florida. Captain Scott, he's got the pompano fishing dialed in, and we do catch some of the bigger pompano this time of the year.
All right, what else you got?
Rick, redfish is going off right now. Hands down, this is the best time of the year to be catching those big redfish, and they are definitely biting. The most consistent places you're going to find them are inside any of the Panhandle inlets in Panama City and Pensacola. You want to fish the jetties and the rock piles within the passes. In Destin, it's typically going to be the jetties, particularly the West Jetty or the Destin Bridge. The best time is the beginning and the end of the falling tides, using a live bait on the bottom. And hands down, the best bait is going to be a croaker or a spot minnow. But small herrings, finger mullets all work well. There's a lot of pilchards around. You can put several of those little guys on the hook and still get redfish bites. Most of these redfish in the inlets are over slot, but there are a few slot fish being caught at the Destin Bridge as well. Moving offshore, I've got a fantastic report from Captain Justin Leake over in Panama City with the mangrove snappers. He reports their shallow Gulf-side barges. The barges are 40 to 50 feet of water are loaded up with black snapper right now, and those herrings and little menhaden you can find inside the inlets. Cast your net. They make great baits for these mangrove snappers. So chum them up with injured pilchards, and then get them up in the water where you can see them, and then slip a hook bait down on a light leader and a small hook. The Gulf side mangroves are averaging 2 to 3 pounds. There are some bigger fish with fish over 7 pounds possible. And then finally offshore, Captain Brady Bowman out of Destin. He's been having some really dependable trips targeting mackerel over the natural bottom. Captain Brady reports tremendous amounts of bait over what we call the broken bottom area. It's 90 foot of water, kind of a hard bottom area southeast of Destin. You want to float troll, cigar minnows, and herrings on stinger rigs. Keep a couple baits down deep with a planer or a downrigger. And most of those kings Brady's been finding are 10 to 12 pound. He's catching a few pushing 15 to 20 pounds, and he's also getting quite a few Spanish mackerel in the mix, and those really big, 3 to 6 pound Spanish. Additionally, the bonus sailfish is possible. Quite a few were caught this week, and there's a photo of one that they caught on the boat up and released. You can see a bright red or bright orange tag in it there, so it's kind of a neat picture.
That's cool. Way to go, Pat Tar. Thank you. Did a great job this year from the Yeti Panhandle region. We're going to take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots. He says inshore, big Spanish mackerels in Panama City and St. Andrews Bay on spoons and live pilchards, and then offshore, troll cigar minnows and herrings around the bait schools for kingfish. And if you're lucky, you might catch a sailfish.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
All right, we're making long casts to the Discover Crystal River Northwest region, but since there's plenty to get rigged up for, we're seeing what tips and tricks Dave can tell us at the CCA workbench for Academy Sports rigs and techniques. What are we rigging?
Well, I discovered that I had a jig collecting problem when I started out here because I really have a lot
You have a
of
lot.
pompano jigs.
It's not a problem.
I just love to fish with them. We're going to show you a lot of them, so not all of them, but a lot of them.
A lot of them. It's a good problem to
Dave's
have.
getting ready to get jiggy with it.
He's getting jiggy with it. All right. That was a good one. We'll be right back.
You didn't think I was so cool, did you?
No,
Nope. Not cool.
Still don't.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Always in the game. Sirius XM Marine. Weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. And Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and it's time for the Academy Outdoors Rigs and Techniques. And
I'm
Dave,
confused now.
Obviously, we've not been following our alphabet because this is Server X.
Server X, or Area 51 or something. I don't know what we're doing. We're talking about pompanos, which are an awesome fish. And Florida is a great place to catch them. As a matter of fact, the fish we catch is called the Florida pompano. And the big problem with pompanos is we get them sometimes confused with a permit. You know, a little permit and a little pompano can look a lot alike, but they're not exactly alike. Well, permits can get great big. Pompanos usually don't get bigger than 8 pounds. If they do get up to 8 pounds, that's a giant.
Right.
You need to catch one that's 8 pounds. But how do you really tell on a pompano? The dorsal fin is behind the anal fin. So the anal fin's right here. The dorsal fin starts back here. Mm-hmm. On a permit, they're even.
Oh.
The dorsal fin and the back fin are even. Only that, a permit's tail has got a very strong V in it. It's very V-shaped, and a pompano's is wider. A permit's is folded down, and a pompano's is wider and broader. So that's how that's the easiest way to tell them apart. A permit has a really sloped head, and a pompano has a giant head in the front. So anyway, I think I got it backwards. Or did it? See, I do it all the time. Last week, I said, "Oh, we don't catch pompanos where I live."
It's okay, Dave. It's the last show. I'm giving you 6 months off.
I got you. Anyway, we catch them a lot.
How are we going to catch them?
Well, I like to catch them with. I fish them in the surf. Up where I live in Playlinda Beach is a great place to fish for them, and we do that a lot in Titusville as well. We fish for them in the surf. We like to have days that aren't flat calm, but aren't real rough. You know, we like the 2 to 3 feet. You know, if it gets more than that, it can get too hard to keep your stuff where you want it to. But a nice 2-foot swell is a really good time. Reading the beach is really important. What you're looking for are those troughs and runouts, big, a place where the water is moving through the beach, and a trough that those fish will run in. And it doesn't necessarily have to be 300 yards out. I mean, we'll all come out with a big, like one of these alvies that we can cast a mile, but that's not necessarily what you have to do all the time. A lot of times the fish will be right in that first trough, and you can just bring a regular 12 12-pound spinning reel with 10-pound test line on it and catch them right there in the trough on a live sand flea or a jig tipped with some fish bites, which is a really good thing.
There's a 2-hook rig the Fish Bites creates?
Correct. These are the surf rig, the Pompano rig, and all the Pompano rigs have the little red floats on them or the chartreuse floats. It attracts the fish to your bait.
Even has on the back how to rig it.
Correct. And you put a nice bank sink. I got one here rigged up with a bank sinker on it already. And you can make your own as well if you get some Kale hooks and some 20-pound test fluorocarbon. That's what I like to use, is something that's really light.
Right.
And put you a sand flea on one and a shrimp on the other, or a sand flea and a piece of fish bites, and you can make these into 3, and you can put 3 different baits on here, and that's a good thing to do to figure out what they really want. You can put your first couple of ones you throw out can have 3 different baits on there, and then you go, oh, they're eating the shrimp, or oh, they're eating the sand fleas today, because sometimes there's not any sand fleas.
Right.
But the wintertime, they leave where Patar is at, but they come down from the north on the Atlantic side.
Right.
And October until December, January is a great time for us to be surf fishing on the East Central Florida. Now, we were talking about those guys who are skipping them. When they come into those inlets, they like to come in all the way inshore. They'll get up into the intercoastal waterway, and the guys will be to fish for them. They'll motor up and down the intercoastal waterway in the channels. The fish usually gather in the deeper water, and they'll skip behind the boat. They'll get on their sides and skip. I don't know if it's like those, sometimes you'll go online and see those carp skipping around when the guys go. It's the same thing. When you see those fish start skipping in your wake, you spin around, you go up current of them, and then you throw out your jigs. Any kind of little jig that you can get down to the bottom pretty quick and puff in the sand.
Just like this U-Pro.
Exactly. And you can tip those with shrimp or not, or even the fish bites on there as well. And, as long as you got that thing bouncing on the bottom making little puffs, they're going to try to eat it.
That's the key.
And then they're great to eat. Once you catch them,
on the
they're
bottom
delicious.
to make those puffs. That's the key.
Yeah.
Right, Brie?
Absolutely. All right, let's head over to the Discover Crystal River Northwest region to have a hagalicious chat about our future weekend catches. Take it away, Jeff.
Pompano, we've got them throughout my region, mostly around beaches and passes and bridges and power plants in the wintertime. Like Dave was just talking about, goofy jigs tipped with shrimp, slowly worked across the bottoms, a great bait. Sand fleas are also another great bait on Pompano rigs or a surf rig, fish right in the surf. Most of our, those are the 2 mostly used baits, and our fish average anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds, and that little skipping technique does work if you drive down the beach too. So if you drive right down the beach, you can get them skipping around the boat, turn around and fish them. But staying inshore, Captain Mario Costello of Tall Tail Charters, fishing out of the Plantation Inn on Crystal River, reports a good redfish bite right now around the Mangrove Islands and Keys from Yankeetown to Homosassa. He's working the potholes and ledges and around Mangrove Islands that have lime rock bottoms mixed in the grass right there. He's using either a Berkeley Gulp shrimp or a live pinfish, 1/8-ounce jig head. Middle of the incoming tide's been the best bet for him. So the bigger fish he's catching on pinfish, and the smaller fish are eating those artificials pretty readily. And fish right now in his area are averaging anywhere from 20 to 32 inches. Moving up to the northern part of my region, Captain John Lane with JB Charters out of Apalachicola reports that his redfish bite's been on fire right now, staying in the shallow marsh edges along the mouth and the deep channels, and they're feeding on live pinfish and baby mullet. Moving back down the coast to Cedar Key, Captain Jimbo Keith of Saltwater Sass and Fishing Charters reports his redfish bite has been really solid right now around the oyster bars. They got a lot of fish around the bars that have shell on them, so look for both of those things when you're looking for redfish on both the incoming and outgoing tide, and producing some really quality fish. He's using a lot of cut mullet right now. He said that's been his go-to bait. Moving all the way down to the southern part of my region, out of Ozona, Captain Jimmy Huddleston of CaptainHud.com reports the Ozona redfish bite has really been good, and those bigger redfish have moved in from offshore. So we got those giant redfish right now in the Inclode area, and look for those in big schools right now. Also around the jetties and passes and lower tide, schools are moving up on the drop-offs of the flats and working around mullet schools. So look for mullet schools too, and catching bait on spoons and artificial in his area. The fish are averaging anywhere from 26 to 32 inches with occasional of those big giant breeders. And I've got some photos of some great fish from our captains this week.
Nice. Oh, look at
Nice
that pretty
pictures.
single bit beautiful fish.
Oh.
Good job, Hag. Those are some studs there, dude.
Oh, yeah, we got some good ones right now. Moving offshore, the red grouper and gag grouper bite seems to be really good through the summer months. It's been really good and consistent. The red grouper bite's been really good over that flat Swiss cheese type bottom, and anywhere from 70 to 220 feet of water. Cut squid and cut sardines is the way to go with them, and using a 6/0 to 9/0 circle hook with anywhere from 6 to 10 ounces of lead, depending on the tide and the depth you're fishing. A lot of big red grouper out there, but most of the fish are averaging around 6 pounds. The gag grouper bite's been generally a little bit deeper, that 90 to 260 right now in the summer still. They're starting to move back in, but haven't quite made that transition yet. We're starting to drop our water temperature, but they're still out there, still pretty deep. So look for lock piles and ledges in the depth I was talking about. Big hand-sized pinfish and big hand-sized grunts right now to keep the red snapper off your baits and get down to the grouper, so you can target some of those big gags down there. Standard bottom rig with 100 to 150 pound fluorocarbon leader, 7 to 12/0 circle hook, and 6 to 8 ounces of lead, depending if you're anchored up or drifting or not. Got some big gags out there right now, anywhere up to 30 pounds, but our average right now has been anywhere from 4 to 8. And moving to our last species, the mangrove snapper bite in Tampa Bay shipping channel and offshore throughout the rest of my region has been really good right now. Any high relief structures holding the fish right now, 70 to 30 feet of water, live shrimp, and small pinfish on a knocker rig has been the go-to bait for most everybody I've talked to, and their fish are averaging anywhere from 1 to 4 pounds. Can't believe it's our last one.
I know.
Only for a little while, bub.
Oh,
You
yeah.
did a great job for the Discover Crystal River Northwest region. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Anytime Sunscreen and Mosquito Repellent Hotspots. He says that inshore snook on the beaches and passes, use a pinfish and grunt for bait, or offshore, mangrove snappers can be found on the high relief structures in 25 feet of water and on out.
All right, Rick. Well,
All
Hurricane.
our boys are.
I know, everyone's getting a little sad. It's a little bittersweet, but we'll be back.
That's
All
right.
right. Hurricane Dorian relief efforts are still underway, and Anglers for the Bahamas United for Relief campaign has raised $4 million in support, with an additional $1 million personal donation and challenge from Bass Pro Shop founder Johnny Morris. Over 81,000 anglers and growing have donated to help the people of the Bahamas by uniting with the worldwide relief leader, Convoy of Hope. If you would like to help make a positive and lasting difference in the Bahamas, you can donate directly to relief efforts at anglersforbahamas.org.
So, you know, Bree, you saw KK, a picture of KK there,
I
huge
did, yeah.
supporter of CCA. And I'm going to tell you, he just donated $10,000 to this relief.
That's amazing.
What a great guy.
That's so cool.
So generous.
Exactly. Every effort
All
counts.
right, let's go.
All right, don't head to the beach just yet. Our Strike Zone Northeast and Bell's Southwest region captains have quite the surprise plan for your weekend of catching, and we have a special message from our friends at Maverick. So stay hooked, and we'll be right back on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Swift, Silent, Secure, Bass Assassin, and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. Garmin, join the club. Kubota, find a Kubota dealer near you at gokubota.com. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of new and used car and truck inventory in Southwest Florida. Our used vehicle inventory goes through a 120-point inspection process performed by certified technicians. Exclusive to Florida Insider Fishing Report viewers is our Peace of Mind Harbor Truck Warranty. If you don't see what you're looking for, give us a call and we can get it for you. Go to harbortrucks.com and click on the Florida Insider Fishing Report tab.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, and there's no place I'd rather be. I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, and time don't matter to me, 'cause I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere.
Well, welcome back, and as you can see, I have my good friend Skip LaShawn from Maverick Boat Group. You know, Skip, we've been involved a long time, and over those years, we've really evolved some product. So we've just come out with a new Maverick 17V. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, we have. We just delivered our very first Maverick HPX 17 Carbon Edition.
Nice.
We just delivered it last week to a very good customer down in the Keys who's a serious tournament fisherman. And you know, and as you well know, these guys are looking for speed and performance. And we were able, with the carbon, we were able to take quite a bit of weight out of it. You can see on the slide here, that's the very first boat in the water after we delivered it. If you go to the next slide, you'll see some of the build. That's the Capt, built entirely in carbon.
Yeah.
It's a really neat material. It's
How
a lot
much
lighter.
weight did that take out?
Well, you can see in this slide here, you can see this is two of our guys here in the pulling department that just popped this part out of the mold. We took 177 pounds out of the total unit. Now, that's an already light boat that we've just taken a full-grown man out of.
Some of the other features, what else did you use to lighten it up?
The hull is still the standard Kevlar hull.
Mm-hmm.
All the rest of the components, the rod racks, the lids, the tubs and buckets, the floor, the bulkheads, the switch panel, everything was built out of carbon. Like I say, it's a lot lighter material. It made the boat, like I say, we gained speed. We lost some draft, and that's what these guys are looking for. It's not a boat for everybody, but for the serious tournament angler who's looking for a boat with a lot of speed and really shallow draft, this could be your boat.
I won a lot of tournaments out of a 17V,
yes,
as
you
you well know.
Yes, you have.
And you know, Skip, when we go to carbon, obviously there's a price to pay. How much more expensive is it?
There is. It is a more expensive material than standard E-glass, but it's not. A lot of people associate carbon with being unbelievably super crazy expensive. It's not that much more. Yeah, there's an upgrade charge for sure. As you know, we built a couple of bay boats out of it. You were involved in one of them.
Yes, sir.
We have a couple more of those on order. We just delivered this first 17. We have a couple more of those on order. So you're going to start to see these. And like I say, it's not outrageously expensive if you're looking for that lighter draft and faster boat.
So if guys want to see more pictures and videos about that particular boat, where do they go?
These are the first pictures. We'll have them out online here in the next couple of days. I go to maverickboats.com. We have a whole video library there. They videoed the boat while it was being built. They took a lot of stills, and we'll have it all up there, and it's all out on the web.
Well, thank you guys for all the support since 1994. Maverick's been our sponsor, and we're really grateful. But Brie, we got to go to another region.
Yes, we are grateful, and we are going to another region. We've got the FaceTime up and ready to rock and roll with Captain Tommy Derringer in the Strike Zone Northeast region. How's the Pompano fishing looking for us, Tommy?
It's good, Brie. I mean, I can't believe it's the end of the year already, man. No. What a great season. Hey, can we just FaceTime every week, even though we're not going to be on the show? Is that cool?
Sure. Let's let our girls FaceTime. It'll be great.
Okay. There you go. Perfect. Well, you know what, guys? We have an awesome pompano fishery here in the Strike Zone Northeast region. And, you know, really, we don't talk about beach fishing all that often, and that's what pompano fishing is here. Now, I spoke to legendary pompano fisherman Larry Fishman Finch, and he's told me the best times to fish for pompano is when the water is around 70 degrees. Now, late September through November are usually his favorite months, depending on water temperature. Now, there's a few things he looks for when he's targeting those fish on the beach. The first is going to be some nice clean water. Second is you want to make your cast right to where the waves are breaking on that outside bar. Now, as the waves crash, it's going to disturb the bottom and in turn disturb the bait, and that's where the fish are going to be feeding. Now, the third is the bait. Live or dead shrimp will probably work, but a sand flea is going to be the best thing going. And of course, a lot of anglers have a lot of success using a fish bite strip bait. Now, another pompano that we seem to be catching more of offshore over the last couple of years is the African pompano. And I spoke to Captain Jason Hadges from jhookfishingcharters.com. He tells me this year has been great for the APs, as they call them. Jason said they'll be on the larger wreck and ledges starting at about 100 feet throughout the region. And he said basically they act like a jack, and they're going to eat a variety of baits, but they seem to especially like the vertical jig. Now, the African pompanos are usually in that 10 to 20 pound range, but there have been some really big ones caught this year. And speaking of big ones, I've got a photo. This is Captain Colin Phillips with a huge African pompano that he caught east of Jacksonville. Now, staying offshore, since this is our last show of the year, I thought I'd talk sailfish because our season is just about to get going. Again, I spoke to Captain Jason Hadges about the sailfish, and he says you're going to be showing up in good numbers after our first decent cold front or nor'easter rolls through, which hopefully will be sometime pretty soon, as those fish are going to be migrating south. Now, something I thought was interesting is that he told me that those sailfish are going to bite better when the front still has the wind blowing a little bit. And he said he has some of his best days when the wind is still cranking. So you know what? Don't be afraid to give it a go if your boat can handle it. And Rick, I'm sure you know all about that.
Yeah, I do.
Now moving inshore, the flounder, man, they are really stacking up throughout the region. Fall is definitely my favorite time of year to target those flatfish. When the water drops down to those low 70, right around that range, the doormat flounder are going to be on the chew. Now, over the next month, if I'm targeting flounder, I'm usually looking for the bigger fish, the bigger flounder, so I'm going to use a big live mullet, sometimes up to even maybe 8 inches long. Now, those big flounder are going to eat some really big baits. Fish around all the area inlets, the bridges, and the deeper docks, and also the industrial structures in the St. John's. That's going to be a good place to check out as well. Now, I've said this quite a few times before, but make sure you let the flounder chew on the bait for a while before setting the hook, or you're going to come back with the dreaded scaleless mullet and no flounder. Now, I've got another picture here. This is Taylor Rogers with a nice flatty that she caught with me last week in Palm Coast.
That's a nice one,
now,
Bub.
nice. Now, staying inshore, the redfish bite, it's so good right now. The bull redfish have really showed up this week with some huge spawning fish. They're schooled up in the usual haunts, like at the inlets, the bridges, but especially in the St. Johns River from Mayport to the Dames Point Bridge. A half blue crab has been the best bait, but a live or cut mullet's also going to work. You're going to want to fish around the slack tides on the bottom with a circle hook that's sized to your bait. Now, please, guys, take good care of those big breeder fish when you're handling them. Keep them in the water if you can, and just make sure they swim away really happy. Those deeper fish, they may need to be vented, so come prepared. Now, we also have a great flood tide this weekend. The slot reds have been doing their thing in the grass with plenty of tailing fish to go around. The tide is going to be really big, so make sure to get out there to your spot early. And I'll have my clients toss a saltwater assassin, Little Boss, in the golden brim color, rigged weedless. Now, it looks just like a little crab when you bounce it through the grass. And I've got one last picture for the season. This is Captain Shane Stover from InshoreAdventures.net with flood tide redfish he caught with me using that saltwater assassin Little Boss paddle tail.
Wow, that is a gorgeous photo, like always, Tommy. But we just want to thank you for your Hurricane Dorian relief effort by donating a day of fishing with you. Every effort counts. That is so awesome. That's pretty cool.
So where do you go to buy that trip or auction it off, or how do we get that?
Tommy, how do we do this? Or is it already
Well, you know what, guys? The auction actually already ended for that.
Figured, yeah.
And what's really cool is somebody bought the trip, and then I got an email a day later, and somebody bought another one and donated some more money. So we raised a bunch of money for them. You can go to castawaycustoms.com. I think they still have some more stuff available there. So great cause.
Great
Cool.
cause.
That's
Great job
awesome.
by you, Tommy. Well applauded in here, that's
Yes.
for sure.
We'll clap for you,
Good
Tommy.
job.
Thank you.
All right. Unfortunately, we got to say goodbye. We'll see you in a few weeks. But guess what? We got to look at the Rodan Marine hotspots from the Northeast region. He says inshore, bull redfish on the St. Johns River from Mayport to Dams Point Bridge. And then fish around the slack tide with half blue crab on the bottom. And then offshore, vermilion and mutton snappers in 120 to 140 feet depths throughout the region Grouper on some of the bigger structures in that same depth, Brie.
All right, Rick. Captain Ronnie Houston is always there when we need him in the Bell Southwest region, and he's got a few tricks up his sleeve for this week's species. Let us in on your secrets, Ronnie.
Well, like always, it's a pleasure to represent the Bell Southwest region. But you know what? Pompano are mostly targeted on the inshore side. Beaches, passes, grass flats. Really important to find clean water. Medium action rods, 3,000 to 4,000 spinning reels. 8 to 10 pound mono in that clear water, or 10 to 20 pound braids. They can be caught all year round, but really fall through winter is a good time to target them, especially in areas that there are an abundance of ladyfish and trout. Now, always be on the lookout for skipping fish. Some of the favorite baits for the pompano will be sand fleas that you can get off the beaches, pompano jigs in pink and white, your tube lures, your bucktails tipped with shrimp, and a variety of soft plastic shrimp and paddle tails on the jig head. And my favorite would be the Bass Assassin 4-inch root beer sea shad, especially in that cleaner water. But the reports I've gotten just the last week by Captain Danny Latham to the north, he's telling me right now you want to concentrate on the passes, the edges of the bars, and points. He says water current is very important. Pompano bite is picking up there, and I have a nice pic of a pompano recently caught while fishing with Captain Danny Latham. Now, still on the inshore side, Captain Dan Latham says redfish have been starting to school up in North Pine Island Sound, Gasparilla, and the east side of the harbor, and he says the higher stages of the tide along the mangroves. But Captain Corey McGuire to the north says concentrate on oyster bars and outside edges of the sandbars, roaming on the low water. He said live pilchers, pinfish, tailhook, cut ladyfish, gold spoons, and subsurface hard baits that go anywhere from 6 inches to 2 feet. And I got a couple prime examples of some nice redfish that were caught while fishing with Captain Danny Latham and Captain Corey McGuire up to the north. On the offshore side, you know the red groupers. Captain Corey McGuire is telling me from Wiggins Pass to Redfish Pass, in depths right now of 60 to 80 feet of water. He's telling me fishing hard bottom has been the key, but look for those fish right now to be following bait schools on your bottom finder. Now, you can drift to locate them by simply using white bucktails tipped with squid. He says, depending upon the current, 6 to 10 ounces of weight, or you can anchor up using cut baits like herring, squid, and sardines. If you're catching a lot of shorts, he says, continue to move on till you start catching some keeper fish. The last species is going to be the mangrove snappers. Naples and Fort Myers Beach fishing wrecks and ledges in depths of 60 to 90 feet of water. Now, for some good quality fish, obviously chumming is the most important part to get these fish going. It's as simple as using box chum, pilchards, or threadfin, and you can also sandball. But once you get the fish going, small cut baits, flatlining, or just a little weight to get the bait into the zone. Don't over chum. And one thing I'd like to say is I greatly appreciate all the captain that's helped me out all through the year. I couldn't give these reports without you guys. And I'm up here in Louisiana getting ready to fish the Redfish World Series inaugural event, the top 50 in the country. So hopefully I can bring something home to Naples. And it's been great working with you all year, Rick and Bree. Looking forward to it next year.
Good luck to the Ronnie. Midnight team. We're rooting for you. Go Team Sportsman Adventures. Thank you, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Caddy Can Southwest hotspots. He says inshore tarpon at the upper end of Charlotte Harbor, roaming in the ladyfish schools, and then offshore king mackerel, Sanibel to stump pass fishing the wrecks in 45 to 65 feet of water. Some fish are starting to show up ahead of the migration, so use live blue runners and maybe some threadfins to catch those big king macdads.
We have the coolest captains. We
Yes,
really
we
do.
do.
How many of them actually do tournaments, fish tournaments?
All of them.
All of them do?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Every single one. Maybe not Holiday, maybe not Pat Deneen.
Okay. See?
I
we don't know everything.
No, I spoke too fast. It's
You did.
typical of Rick Murphy.
Very typical. All right, the Casa Vieja Southeast region is looking good for the weekend. But before we get your captain on the line, we're seeing what Dave is making look good at the CCA Workbench.
Dave, you're
going to
try that on?
He better.
No.
Come on.
But every girl should have a nice little black dress, right?
A nice convertible
We're
black
going to talk about some Bells
There's a song
products.
about
Yes,
a
we
black
are.
dress, you know,
Yeah,
Dave.
I heard of it, yeah.
Rick will be singing it when we come back.
I hope not.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. Soft Science, Supreme Comfort Footwear. Real Legends, exclusively at Bell's. Okuma, Inspired Fishing. Discover Crystal River, Florida. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia. Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
How do you aim a 36-yard shot with a 30-yard fixed pin at a 15-degree angle with a 7-inch holdover without moving a single pin? Easy. You get one of these. Zero, the auto-ranging digital bow sight from Garmin.
Well, Dave, I tell you, this year I've really enjoyed here at the CCA Workbench all of your products, but I think tonight I'm going to really enjoy it because I know how well you love to talk about ladies' apparel.
Well, we've only got 1 or 2 items of ladies stuff, but here's a lot of boys stuff. This is a nice looking shirt right here. Actually, this is the Real Tech Performance shirt from Real Legends, obviously.
Yes.
Very nice. 40 SPF, soft, comfortable skin. This is their brand new Force shorts that goes with this outfit right here. These are actually brand spanking new. They have an adjustable waistband, you know, and
what size are these, Dave?
I'm not real sure. Water resistant pockets, and for the phone, that big nice one in the front there, turn it back around. That's your big phone pocket. It's got the nice water resistant seams all the way around it, so you can put a phone in there, which is really nice. And it's quick dry and SPF 50. And move on for this is the Saltwater 2 shirt.
Yes.
And
ooh,
very nice shirt.
You know how dapper I'd look in this? Don't touch my stuff.
Okay, all right. Saltwater 2 multi-function shirt. It's got vents in the back, 2 nice pockets up in the front. So you put all your gear in there, sunglasses and whatnot, snag resistant. And then the short is called the Shadow Short. It's got an elastic waistband. You know,
how it matches so perfectly.
I always like to have an elastic waistband these days. Ultimate comfort in the utility pockets, plenty of pockets for everything. You got to have a lot of pockets. So
you know what I love about Real Legends is they're like back when I was a kid, the Granimals. You know, they make it mix and match already for you. They send it to us so that even you and I can't mess it up.
Exactly.
Perfect. Thank
Next
you,
we got
Bells.
some lady stuff. This is that pink print there is a sleeveless saltwater woven with, it's got 2 chest pockets as well. Very nice. Lightweight, breathable, cool and dry.
Vented in the back.
Yeah.
Yes,
shorts
sir.
that go with it. Very nice little shorts there. Little white shorts.
Is that all you got to say about
that's
that?
all I got to say
You're
about
not going to talk
them.
about
Same
chafing
thing.
or anything?
No.
Oh, thank God.
And then next we got the Real Legends, the boys stuff. This is new
the
soft,
dudes.
lightweight. These are pretty cool. And I loved to have a shirt when I was a kid. I love those great white sharks. And really nice hybrid shorts there, really stretchable for little fellas to run around in.
Wow.
You know, get
Makes
your
me
bells.
wanna go
to
have a
Bells,
baby.
You can Bells and get all kinds of stuff for your ladies and your children and yourself.
One more.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the
one
big,
you're looking
the
forward
big
to
black
the
dress.
most.
This is convertible dress. You know, you can wear it on the beach, and then you can use this thing here. You can go from
here we go.
Yeah, you can put it around your thing
Right.
like that, or you can fold
Right.
it over and just wear this on the side for the for the beach. Very nice. I think they
You're
just did
kidding
that
me.
to.
All right, so can we get to something you really know about, please?
There's something I don't have much to say about. A hat. It's brand new CCA Florida Richardson Redfish
Cool
hat. You can exclusively get it at ccaflorida.org. They only cost like $25. You're helping out the CCA, and a special thanks to Mookie Banks, or Barnes actually, for the design and the artwork. He did all that for the CCA Florida.
All right, what do we got here?
This was this is called the Motor Mate, and it's an outboard motor support. You know, it installs in seconds. If you're using a Yamaha, you have to put a little bracket on. Probably take you 5 minutes. If you're using a Mercury or anything else, you can just pop it right on.
Goes in there.
Marine grade stainless, high impact nylon ends. You know, when you're got the motor
Before
on
you
it.
trim the engine down.
Trim your engine down on there, and it keeps all the weight off your very expensive hydraulic parts.
That's
And
correct.
you can get it in stainless steel or powder coated in black, yellow, white, blue, red.
Where do they go?
Lifetime warranty.
Motormate.com?
Motormate.com.
All right.
Made in the USA, proudly.
Keep rolling, dude.
Now, we'll go to the Gile lures there. We got the Gile lures with the flash there. We got the Flash Witch. This is from Gile lures. Very good, 4.5 inch UV glow head. Very high,
You
high
like putting
quality.
these in front of the ballyhoo, Dave?
Put them in front of a ballyhoo. You can put them from a live pilchard. You can cut them down if you want to put them to catch kingfish. We call them kings. They go on everything. Also, there you got the bill collector, the lure there. It's a lure with another skirt. It's got a 12-inch chugger with a double hook set 10-aughts, and then it's got a little 7-inch skirt in front of it, so it looks like the one's chasing the other.
All right, we got 30 seconds left.
Jaw lures.
I know you love these circle hooks with the built-in weights.
Yeah, we talk about these a lot, and every time I say anything about them, I always get a bunch of, where do you get those? Well, he's got new concept lures, and these are new. He's got a new website, newconceptlures.com. These things are great for these little colored ones are great for pompano. You put a shrimp on there, throw it out in the surf.
Yellowtail snappers.
You put a big pilchard on any of these other ones for catching anything from snappers to trout to everything. And they're called no-brainer because they really are. If something eats that thing and goes in them, and you just wind tight. That's all you got to do.
These are no-brainers. We should get this guy to sponsor you and I directly.
You're correct.
All right.
NewConceptLures.com.
All right, Bree, speaking of no-brainer.
Speaking of no-brainer, I knew you were going to say that. That convertible dress ties around the neck, and then you can bring it down to make it into a maxi skirt.
Yeah, you should.
Very good, Dave. Very
Thanks
good.
for bailing us.
You should be wearing it.
You should be wearing it.
Yep.
All right, the Casa Viejas East region is getting ready for quite the pompano season, so let's get Captain Jimbo on the line to get us prepped for the pomps.
Hey, Bree, Rick, and Dave, and everybody in the studio, and definitely a no-brainer here. Now, Florida pompano they're definitely one of the most sought-after fish of boat, pier, beach, and surf fishermen throughout the southeast region. They fight hard, they're fairly easy to catch, and they also taste great. That makes them very desirable. Now, they start to show up around October, and they typically hang around through late March. Now, standard tackle for pompano is light spinning, bait casting, or a fly outfit. You want to rig them with light leaders and small hooks and use live or artificial baits. Now, the most common bait is a fresh or dead sand flea, and other popular baits are clams, shrimps, small clams, and crabs, along with pompano jigs in white or yellow, small spoons, goofy jigs, and small shrimp or crab pattern flies. And you want to fish your natural and artificial baits on or near the bottom, since they are basically bottom feeders. Now, one of the best rigs for natural baits is a pompano or fish finder rig, which is a 2 or 3 hook rig with the weight on the bottom. And it's a good idea to put a different bait on each hook to figure out what they're eating. Once you figure it out, then you put a sand flea or a piece of clam on all 3 hooks, catch 3 at a time. Now, Rick at Anglers Bait and Tackle in Dania Beach, they cater to a lot of South Florida pompano fishermen. They sell both fresh and frozen sand fleas. And Rick claims that you can catch sand fleas pretty much at any of the beaches throughout the region, and you use a sand flea rake, and they're pretty easy to catch. Go buy them otherwise.
You know, Jimbo, a trick I heard is that you have to carry that rake up to the dry sand so that when you dump it, they don't run all in and rebury themselves. They can't bury themselves in the dry sand. How cool is that?
I guess. I've never caught one, so sounds good to me.
Okay.
I use them goofy jigs, but you got to watch how they hook you in the finger if you're not careful.
I know all about it.
Yeah, so do I. But Rick at Anglers Bait and Tackle, he also says that the best beach and pier fishing for these pompano is best when you have some seas or some waves that stirs up the bottom. It exposes those sand fleas, the crabs, and the shrimp that they're feeding on. And he also says that a great time to catch pompano is when the mullet are migrating along the coast, and those pompano will follow under the mullet schools, and they eat the bait. They get stirred up as those mullet are swimming towards the south, and that mullet run's taking place right now. Now, the pompano will also move into the inlets and bays. They can be found feeding around the jetties and along the edges of grass flats and sandbars, and they also bite best when the water is a little murky. And the average size is 1 to 3 pounds, with fish up to 5 pounds, not uncommon. Now, staying inshore, like I said, we have quite a bit of bait starting to move south along the beaches, and some of these schools of finger mullet, regular-sized mullet, and pilchers have made it into the inlets and bays. And following these schools of bait have been mostly snook and tarpon, but there's also been big jack crevalles, barracudas, and sharks mixed in. Once the bait fish make it into the bays, there's also been trout and mangrove snapper feeding on them. You want to look for the bait on the surface and also for bird activity. You can cast net or sabiki, a white live well full of bait, but that sabiki will not work on the mullet, so you'll have to have your cast net for those. And you want to work your live baits on the outside edges of the bait schools using a 3/0 to 6/0 circle hook, and you want to just match the hook size depending on the size of the bait, or cast 3 to 6 inch jerk baits or surface and swimming plugs in black and silver or green and silver, and try to match that lure size to the bait in the area. And we have seen some bait down in the south end, but most of those schools have been more towards the north end of the region. But this annual bait migration, it'll last a few more weeks, and it usually peaks around Columbus Day. Now, staying offshore, moving offshore, we've got dolphin, and it's been pretty consistent. You want to look for anything floating that's been holding fish in the 5 to 10 pound range. Most of these floaters are anywhere from 3 to 1,200 feet of water. There's also been some birds working on these floaters. You want to look through your binoculars, look for bird activity, and once you locate them, they've been eating trolled baits, lures, feathers, and also small live baits and cut bait. I got a photo here. This is a 14-pound dolphin, but he had 20 pounds of seaweed with him, so it makes him pull quite a bit harder. And then we got kingfish along the edge of the Gulf Stream in 90 to 150 feet of water. Down in the south end, we're only getting a few king bites, but in the Hillsborough and Boynton inlets, that bite has been a lot better, fishing with live baits under the kite or on the troll or on the drift. And then you control a planer or a wire line with a pink sea witch and a bonita strip or a drone spoon. And most of these kings have been in the 10-pound range, but there have been a few fish up to 15 to 20 pound caught as well.
All right, thank you so much, Jimbo. Great job for the Casa Vieja Southeast region, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the R&R tackle hotspots. Jimbo says inshore, look for the snook and the tarpon feeding on the schools of bait and fish the outside edges of them with live and artificial baits. And then offshore, look for the dolphin hanging around any floating debris. 4 to 12 miles offshore where they're eating cut, live, and trolled baits, Brie.
All right, Rick, up next, we're announcing our Harbor Trucks Casa Vieja winner and fishing the Garmin Keys and Bell's Central East region, so stay tuned. But before we go, we want to remind you that you can keep up with us while we're off the air and catch new videos, rigs and techniques, behind the scenes, new fishing and hunting adventures every week on our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, who came up with that name. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to tune in. Right, Rick?
Yeah, man, I just thought about it. I got to subscribe to myself.
You should. We'll be right back.
How about it?
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala, another great day. Startron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Oh, there it is. You can either stay busy fishing or get busy catching. From Texas to Tampa Bay or Key West to the Carolinas and beyond. For nearly 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. Ask for Fish Bites and Fish Bites Fight Club lures by name or visit fishbites.com.
Find Florida's soul and discover Crystal River. Explore warm Gulf waters, spring-fed rivers, bountiful lakes, and fantastic fishing. Dive into adventure and enjoy the only place in the world where you can swim with the manatees. Treat yourself and your family to outdoor fun, rich history, and a relaxed coastal lifestyle. Discover Crystal River, Florida.
Welcome back to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. You know, we've been talking about the Harbor Trucks Casa Vieja fishing trip with Rick and me since the beginning of the season. It is now the end of the season, and the time has come for us to announce the winner. Rick, are you ready to find out who will be joining us? Drum roll, please, everybody. Do something with your drum roll. Joining us at Casa Vieja is John Garcia. Congratulations. We are so excited. It's going to be a fun time. And he gets to BYOF, bring your own friend.
Yeah, man.
Right?
He's bringing another dude named John, so it's going to be Johnny John.
It's going to be John squared. All right, if you registered and you're not John, don't worry. There's special pricing available for now 7 spots left. So go to sportsmanadventures.com and you could be fishing in Guatemala at Casa Vieja too.
And they could go with us.
They could go with us.
Possibly. Maybe not.
It's a possibility. All right, let's check in with the Garmin Keys region, Captain Randy Tao, and see what the weekend is bringing us.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, here in the Garmin Keys region, we do catch a lot of pompanos, but not really this time of year. It happens generally in the winter months, especially on the colder days, and most of it's done in the backcountry around Flamingo and out to the west near the west coast shorelines. Now, what's interesting about a pompano, you can be running through the bay, and you look behind you, and you'll see the pompano skipping across your wake as you're running along. and that's one way to really find them. And then another way is to fish in some areas where you've got a little bit of structure. They like kind of a shelly, hard bottom. They don't like the mud as much as they do something hard. So a marker or any kind of hard bottom, sometimes you're going to find these pompanos sitting on that. And a 1/4 ounce yellow nylon jig tipped with a shrimp is kind of the go-to favorite. I catch a lot of pompanos in the winter doing that. You catch other stuff, jacks and ladyfish as well. But a lot of those pompanos like that hard bottom. They like the channels. And sometimes you see them skipping, and it's really cool. And you want to pay attention, because if you see that, there's a good chance there's more than one, because pompanos usually travel in a pretty good-sized school. So if you catch one, stop your boat, power pole down if you can, or put your trolling motor down if you're in deeper water, and just sit there and try to catch some more of them. The snook fishing, we've been talking about snook this year a lot, and mainly because it's been good, and a lot of guys have been catching them, and a lot of people have been sending me photos to put on the show and talking about their good snook fishing. And it's just one of those things. You got to love it, and you got to talk about it. And right now, still consistent, that incoming tide. Most everybody I talk to all say the incoming tide's been best for them, and that's with the water coming out of the Gulf into Florida Bay. And a lot of times it's a different water temperature as well, so it's kind of a cooler water temperature, especially if you got it in the morning. And, some of the tides are critical back there, so you want to look at your tide before you go fishing to kind of have a game plan, because if you're not at that right spot at the right time, you're going to miss it, or someone else is going to beat you to it. I like using live bait, like pilchards, pinfish. Right now there's some finger mullet back there too, so that's great bait of choice back there. And then other guys are poling on top of the flats, throwing artificials, and getting plenty of shots as well. Now I've got a photo of our very own Jimbo Thomas fishing out of his 25 Contender Bay boat with his nice snook he caught in Flamingo.
Now you see how that works? Me and Kathy took him and Jane. Now he's down there pot licking my hole.
Whoa.
What? Come on, that is like against all the rules. You better call him and tell him don't send any more pictures.
Don't break those
rules. He's listening now. Here we are at the end of September, and the dolphin fishing is still very good. The guys are finding plenty of dolphin, and they don't have to measure them. They've been big schoolies. There's been some gaffers. No 40 or 50 pounders, but certainly plenty of them. Guys are starting to find them from 300 feet on out, and if you find that floating piece of debris, that's been a real bonus, because they like to hang around some of the debris, and there's still plenty of weeds around. We don't have the bird activity that we had earlier, and as we get late in the summer, as we're coming up to the fall, the bird action slows down a little bit. But don't pass up a bird if you see it. But a lot of the dolphin the guys are finding are under weeds and floating debris. Now, I've got a photo of Pablo Rodriguez with Slam Time Charters. He fishes out of Marathon in his Contender Bay boat. And this is what a day of dolphin fishing looks like with him.
Stunning. Absolutely
stunning. Nice. Good layout there, Pablo.
Yep.
Blackfin tuna is another fish this time of year that's very consistent, and it's offshore. Usually guys are going across the humps on their way out, going dolphin fishing or sword fishing, and they're very cooperative. Early morning, late in the afternoon, the tunas cooperate very well. Dark feathers or some black or pink eels, believe it or not, they look like a worm, and they work great. And guys are catching plenty of blackfin tuna for dinner. They're not real big, but if you want to target the big ones, you got to prepare for it. You've got to bring live bait, and with the live bait brings predators. You're going to lose some to sharks. So it just depends on what level you want to take your tuna fishing to, that you gear up for it. But a lot of the guys will catch a few just to have some fish in the box and to have dinner. And then if they spend all day and don't see any dolphin, they've still had a great day. And I've got to talk about Pablo Rodriguez again. He's been hot. He's all over the place, backcountry, offshore, with Slam Time Charters out of Marathon. He sent me this picture of his buddy with a nice tuna and his friend behind him hooked up with a doubleheader.
All right, good job, Pablo. Thanks for sending Randy those pictures. Thank you, Randy, for all your efforts this year from the Garmin Florida Keys region. And it's time for the Florida Keys hotspots. He says inshore, bonefish. Fish the rising tide on the bay side, flats that are having wind and current in the same way, in the same direction. That's going to be the ideal condition. And then offshore, dolphin, weed, and debris are key. start looking for them in 300 feet on out and have your rods rigged and ready to cast. He's always rigged and ready.
Rigged and ready.
That's
to
his
go.
deal, rigged and ready.
All right, there's some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys coming up, so let's take a look at some details. The Islamorada All-Tackle Bonefish and Permit Championship is set for October 13th through the 16th with 1 angler per boat, and it pairs with a licensed captain to vie for trophies. The Ladies Let's Go Fishing Seminar is scheduled for October 18th through the 20th, and it's billed as the No Yellin' School of Fishing for female anglers. The Fall Backcountry Fly Championship Series is set for October 25th through the 30th and focuses on catch and release of snook and redfish on fly. The field is limited to 30 boats. The Sugarloaf Showdown Inshore Fishing Tournament is scheduled for October 31st to November 2nd in the Lower Keys. Hosted by the Lower Keys Guides Association to benefit the Guides Trust Foundation, the competition targets catch and release of barracuda, bonefish, and permit. Additional information on all tournaments in the Florida Keys is available at flakeys.com. What do you think about that?
I think that's a lot of tournaments, but
Lots
the
of
Ladies Let's Go Fishing Tournament.
Seminar.
Reggie is going to be down there doing a little filming. How about
He
that?
will be. That'll be fun. No yelling, Ridge, okay? Things are getting good in the Belt Central East region. So, Captain Jim Ross, what's cooking?
Well, I'll tell you, we always wait for the fall time because that's when we start to get schools of pompano coming down the beach. And, in the Indian River, we've had a couple of schools showing up here recently, so that's kind of a predecessor to those beach fish coming down there. We like to throw goofy-style jigs. They seem to work really well, or a little, like what Randy was talking about, a very short-tailed nylon hair jig in yellow or pink and put a little tip of shrimp or sand flea on it. That seems to work really good. In those goofy jigs, though, orange, yellow, and chartreuse are tough to beat, and if you put a feather on it, put like a white or pink feather. That seems to work really well. And you can also put a small piece of fish bite on either of those, and that seems to work really well, as if you're looking for the pompano. They'll actually target the fish bite on whichever part of the jig you use, whether it's on the leaded part of the jig or on the feather part of the jig on those goofy jigs. Most of our pompano are 2 to 4 pounds right now. Now, staying offshore, because our pompano are kind of coming down the beaches, we're getting ready to get some sailfish action. And, we've had back-to-back hurricanes coming past our coast, but, as this water starts to clear and we start to see a decrease in water temperature, you're going to start to see a lot more sailfish showing up, especially up in the northern part of the region to start with, up around Ponce Inlet. Now, naked chin-weighted ballyhoos or small mullet are trolled at 3 to 5 knots. Near rips, color changes, temperature breaks, and you can find those fish some days in as shallow as 130 feet, but most of the time you're going to find them out around 200 to 300 feet of water. Now, the keys are look for flying fish concentrations, use small skirts if you're going to use a skirt over those natural baits, and the biggest thing that you can do to increase your hookup ratio is to pull a dredge-style teaser, or even 2. Some guys, pull 2 of them. This gives the illusion of a bait school, and of course the sailfish like to try and herd bait schools, so they'll come up there, they'll see it, and then they'll see those stragglers, which are the ones that you have on your rods, and you'll get them on those baits. Most of our sailfish are running 30 to 40 pounds, but we're getting some decent ones, in the middle part of our sailfish season, and in the middle part of the fall, it'll be up into the 50-pound range. Now, Rick, swinging inshore, our trout bite has been kind of crazy this year. It's good one day, bad the next. This week, it has been strong. I mean, as strong as you could ever want it to be. Slot-sized fish are hitting Rapala skitterwalks. The twitching minnows are really good right now. Saltwater assassin 5-inch didappers in the black shad or the albino shad are absolutely dynamite as well. Put those on a weedless weighted worm hook and just pull them just through the surface tension, and the big trout are really crushing them. Good areas right now are east of Titusville, all along that eastern wall from Parish Park all the way down to the Nassau Causeway. And then, of course, down in the Melbourne area, from Melbourne to Palm Bay, we have some relatively clean water down there right now in a couple of places. Where you find the mullet milling around, you're going to find good concentrations of trout. And I've got a nice picture here of one of the speckled trout that we caught the other day with John Mueller when we were up in that Titusville area. Now, the other species that we're going to talk about is the black drum. And right now we've got schools of black drum that are roaming all over the Indian River in Port St. John. From there all the way north, basically at the Scottsmore. You never know where they're going to be because they move around so much. But they're out there in that open water and they're spawning. And so what we're doing is we're kind of looking along the ICW channel to find
anywhere where we see freshly kicked up mud, or you can actually see them up on the top schooling where you can sight cast to them. Now, here's really something that just blows me away, because typically black drum are known as fish that feed by scent. But right now, I have to say it's probably my favorite new color, is the Pimp Daddy color that Saltwater Assassin came out with in their 4-inch Sea Shad.
So what color is Pimp Daddy, dude? I don't know what color that is. What color is that?
It's a purple back with a chartreuse belly with a silver flake.
That sounds like
And
Pimp
for
Daddy.
whatever reason, I mean, it's purple and chartreuse, so they call it Pimp Daddy. But for whatever reason, the drum are crushing this thing, and I don't know what they think it is, but I don't care. They're eating it, and that's all I care about. Most of our drum are running about 25 pounds right now, and I've got a picture here of a couple of nice ones that we had the other day while we were out in that northern part of the Indian River. And looking forward to that action to continue for at least about another 2 to 3 weeks. So that should be a good, solid bet.
All right,
Pimp Daddy.
pretty work from our Pimp Daddy from the Central East region. Tell us about the clams, bub.
I got one last thing. The IRL Clam Restoration Banquet is going on October 5th at the Cocoa Convention Center from 5:30 to 10:30. There's going to be a kids fishing tournament that morning that starts right around 8:30. Special guests are going to include Roland Martin, Scott Martin, Shaw Grigsby, Bobby Lane, all kinds of guys that are going to be out there. Of course, Blair Wiggins is kind of helping to put this whole thing together. But here's the best part, guys. $50 tickets to get in. There's a silent auction, a live auction, but your $50 tickets get you 1,000 clams to put in the local waters. So that's what's really cool about the clam restoration project that's going on right now.
That's
Very
awesome.
cool.
All right, bub, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Central East region. He says offshore, troll-skirted ballyhoos for sailfish, dolphin, and wahoos, around the rips and color changes associated with the western edge of the Gulf Stream. And then inshore, bull reds and Ponce Inlet jetty use live or cut mullet on a sliding sinker rig, Brie.
All right, we're wrapping it up here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report with our final StarTron Central West region, so make sure you stay hooked, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Suffix, always use the best line. The IGFA, Fish for the World. Sportsman's Adventures, fishing for adventure. And Bells, everything you need to live life local.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
Life out here tastes sweeter with the freedom to roam at 40 miles per hour. The power to haul whatever needs hauling, and best-in-class acceleration and handling with cargo. The Kubota Sidekick is purpose-built for speed, fun, and to get the job done right. Now, get the Kubota Sidekick for $0 down and payments as low as $196 a month.
Find a Kubota dealer near you at gokubota.com.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of new and used car and truck inventory in Southwest Florida. Our used vehicle inventory goes through a 120-point inspection process performed by certified technicians. Exclusive to Florida Insider Fishing Report viewers is our Peace of Mind Harbor Truck Warranty. If you don't see what you're looking for, give us a call and we can get it for you. Go to harbortrucks.com and click on the Florida Insider Fishing Report tab.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about, does the power pole add a lot of weight to the transom of the boat? And simply, guys, it doesn't. Now we're talking about a bracket that weighs anywhere between 5 and 7 pounds, and depending on the model that you get, our micro is 7 with the blade, 10-foot blade, being 27 pounds. So simply, we're not gonna add a lot of weight. You're not gonna change the draft of the boat. You're not gonna have to re-prop your boat. And more importantly, the pumps have been mounted in the floor so that they're out of the way and not on the transom. So many times when we add weight to the boat, it affects the performance, and that's not gonna happen by adding 2 power poles. So if you have any questions whatsoever, you can either go online to powerpole.com or you can go down to your local dealer. And that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week. So Brie, you know, next year we're gonna have a whole nother series of Power Pole tips on our Mavericks and our Pathfinders, and you know what? There's a lot of secret stuff I can't talk about.
All right, well, we'll have to wait till next season then.
Okay.
All right, next up we have the StarTron Central West Region Captain Jeff Page, who knows a thing or two about fishing for pompano. Hey, Jeff.
You know, you guys, it's been an awesome year, but, you know, I always call myself a trout fisherman from Sarasota, but probably my next favorite species is the pompano. And in the StarTron Central West region, we have a lot of different ways to catch them. August, September, right about now, is our summer run of pompano, and then in January and February are the next 2 good months. That being said, we have a variety of ways to catch them, and probably the most popular way, and a lot of guys do this, is they'll set up drifts in our inlets and in our passes, anywhere from Gasparilla Pass all the way up to Egmont Pass. And, you know, that you're just going to want to play the current, play the wind, get your drift right. And the pompano jig I like to use is the U-Pro flat jig, and it comes in for the inlet fishing. You want to use the 3/8 or the 1/2 inch. Pink and white, yellow and white are the 2 most popular colors. You're just going to want to drop them straight down and bounce them off the bottom. Cool thing about that is you're going to pick up other species like Spanish mackerel, bluefish. You'll get a few catfish now and then, so it's a good idea to have a T-hooker on board. The way I like to catch them, when I'm running my boat in the bay around grass flats and sandbars, it's not uncommon to go by a bar, and you'll get to know these places after you put time in on the water, and you're going to skip them. They're going to skip right out of your way. A good idea is to circle back around, drop your trolling motor, and start bouncing 1/4 to 3/8 ounce flat jig, U-Pro flat jig, in the sand holes around the sandy white bottom grass and sand areas, and it's usually 4 to 6 feet of water. There's some good places off Fort DeSoto, off the Manatee River. It always did. They seem to come to. It's a very good table fare, and like my buddy Bluegill Gay always tells me, if you're catching pompano, bring me a couple home for the dinner plate. I've got a couple photos tonight. First one is with Billy the Kid Ahlstrom with a nice pompano he caught. And then the second one is PGA golfer Paul Azinger with a real nice pompano he caught with me, both on the U-Pro flat jig.
Hey, was Zingers a chip shot?
What now?
Was Zingers a chip shot?
Ha ha ha.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay, let's go.
All
Tell
right.
me about the redfish.
Staying inshore, the redfish has been going off, Rick. I got reports from Captain Danny Latham down in the harbor. Schools of fish all over the place. Placida Harbor over to Burnt Store. And it's same up here, up my way. And the key is, Rick, finding these groups of fish, staying off them. 1/4 ounce gold spoon is probably the best bait because you can throw it a long way. You don't have to put another soft plastic on it. You don't have to do much with it, but reel it and set the hook. If you're going to use live bait, pinfish work a little better because you can throw them a little further. Fish have been around the mouth of the Manatee River, Fort DeSoto, and off Bishop Harbor. And as the water temperature drops, watch for it to get better. My redfish photo tonight is of Furman Brown of the Norfolk Southern Railroad. Real quick, my offshore species, red grouper bite, remains strong. Our charter captains say that 75 feet of water out to 100 feet over small areas of hard bottom. Live pinfish, frozen sardines will get the job done. Being Pirate Week, I've got a photo of the real animal pirate, Billy Nobles, with a nice red grouper. And my last species of the season, kingfish. Lots of kingfishers showing up north part of the region, working their way down your way, Rick. They're in the bait schools around the artificial reefs in 20 to 40 feet of water. You can troll for them or free-line live bait. And I've got a really nice king mackerel photo of some happy clients with Billy Miller.
All right, thank you so much, Paige. Good luck. I know you're out in Louisiana. Go Florida Insider Fishing Report team and Ben Alderman. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. One more time, inshore, snook. Nighttime snook fishing along the ICW docks lights, as well as the bridges from Blackburn Point Bridge south to Circus Bridge in Venice. And then offshore, kingfish start to show up. They're starting to show up in the north part of the region. Look for the kings in and around the big schools of threadfins in 20 to 40 feet of water.
Okay, your reports for the 2019 season have been signed, sealed, and delivered. But we have a special guest you're going to want to see when we come back, so stick around.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster, now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
For the bass that thinks it's a bulldog. For the walleye that thinks it's a freight train. For the tuna that thinks it's a torpedo. For the tarpon that thinks it's a tarpon. You need the mono that thinks it's a braid. Suffix Advance. New Advanced Mono with HMPE braid molecules for strength, abrasion resistance, and low stretch. Suffix Advance. The mono that thinks it's a braid.
Be sane. Don't fritter away your time. Create. Act. Take a place wherever you are. And be somebody. Get action.
All right, guys. Well, this is our special guest. This is my daughter, Mia. We had her on last year at the end of the season, and she was just a few months old. She was a baby, and now she's a big girl.
Big girl. Here, Mia.
So what's everyone going to be doing in the off season here? Fishing,
not having any of those.
Hunting, not having any of these. One's good, but she's pretty cute. Rick's just distracted. All right, guys. Well, in the off season, we're going to be doing a ton of filming. We're going to be fishing and hunting. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, Captain Rick Murphy. Right, Rick?
Yeah, man, that just amazes me that she's only a year old and she's already taller than me.
Thank you. Mommy put it in her hair. It's true.
That's an
and growing, right?
Oh, she's
well, guys,
sharing
it's
the boat,
been
Mama.
an awesome season. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you have great fishing adventures in the next couple months, and we'll see you in April, right? Hey guys, if you like what you saw and you want to see more, make sure to click the subscribe button below.